Every morning when my mother wakes up, the first thing she sees isn't the lush green of hope, but the shattered rice paddies, churned up mud, broken stalks scattered like the aftermath of a storm. For her, those fields are more than soil. They're a lifetime of dreams and hard work, now destroyed by the wild boars that storm through every night. Watching her eyes fill with despair each dawn was unbearable. We couldn't sit back any longer, so my brothers in the village and I decided to take action. Could we stop these savage beasts that had stolen our peace? The answer would come at sunset. Before setting out, the team gathered to strategize. Every face around the table reflected the same determination. We mapped out the terrain, traced their usual trails, and set our plan in motion. Tom and I would take a position on the hillside to gain a clear vantage point and control the high ground. John would hide at the foot of the mountain, while two others guided the hunting dogs, driving the herd toward our ambush point. Every movement had to be precise. One mistake, and the tables could turn instantly. Early morning mist still hung low across the mountainside. Tom and I silently kept watch on the ridge, our eyes sharp, our breaths shallow. The forest was still, except for the distant calls of crows and the whisper of wind through the tall grass. Suddenly, the bushes rustled, softly at first, then violently. A wild boar, massive as a boulder, lumbered out. Its tusks glistened in the faint light, and its muscles rippled with each step. My heart clenched, my finger tightened on the trigger, and the shot split the silence, echoing through the valley as the beast fell. That moment marked the opening of a long battle. Keen observation and lightning reflexes. Those were the traits that made a hunter succeed. I exhaled a quiet sigh of relief, but deep down I knew the real challenge was only beginning. The peace didn't last long. The barking of the dogs echoed through the mountains, fierce and urgent. Tom and I immediately knew they were driving prey straight toward us. Both of us gripped our weapons tighter, and then the ground trembled as another boar came thundering through the brush. The shot rang out, quick, decisive, powerful. The creature was stopped mid-charge. My heart pounded like a drum, adrenaline coursing through every vein. Alongside me were my steadfast teammates and our loyal, battle-hardened dogs. Their courage and energy made me feel stronger than ever. The sweep continued as more dark shapes moved across the hillside. Panic rippled through the surviving herd as they rushed downhill in desperate bids to escape. But they didn't know John was waiting below. His rifle tracked the fleeing beast smoothly, his aim calm and precise. Another threat down. The coordination between us was seamless, a rhythm forged by countless hunts before this one. These weren't just hunting skills. They were survival instincts etched deep into our bones. The reason we stood as the strongest shield for our homeland. As evening fell, a signal came from the lookout post. Another boar was wandering near the forest edge. We moved quickly. Just as its shadow appeared, it sensed danger and bolted uphill. We held our breath, synchronized like clockwork, and one decisive shot later, the boar dropped still as stone. The forest was quiet again, for now. That night, as we packed up, the air was thick with the smell of gunpowder and earth. Red clay clung to our boots. Our faces were streaked with sweat and dust, but our hearts were light. I called my mother to share the good news. Her voice trembled with joy. "You've done enough, my son," she said. But I knew this war was far from over. For every beast we took down, a dozen more prowled the dark edges of the forest. The next morning, we were on the move again, this time toward the Red Cross Hills, where another rampaging herd had been sighted. The sun blazed fiercely overhead, but it couldn't burn away our determination. I climbed to the highest vantage point, rifle in hand, scanning every movement below. The field shimmered with heat. Then I saw it. A massive shadow darting through the tall grass. My pulse quickened, and one clean shot later, the creature fell instantly. That rush of pride, the satisfaction of protecting what matters. It's a feeling that words can't describe. But as dusk fell, the forest came alive again. From the distance, we spotted a new herd making its way up the hill. Without hesitation, the team spread out. The air thickened with tension. The gunfire thundered, and the largest boar collapsed mid-charge, its echo rolling across the valley. Each shot wasn't just a kill, it was a promise. A promise to protect our people, our land, our crops. After a long day, we loaded our catch into the Jeep Wrangler and began the drive home. Red dust swirled behind us as the sun dipped below the horizon. The victory was sweet, but it came with a sobering thought. The war against these invaders would never truly end. Weeks passed, and word spread that the herds were moving north, toward the farmlands of Drew, in the province of Uri-Tilweir. There, every spring, local hunters gathered to control the invasive population. We joined them, ready for another test of endurance. The chase was wild. Hundreds of hooves tearing through undergrowth, bullets echoing across the valley. We split into teams again, each man trusting the other with his life. When one missed, another covered. When one fell, another rose. The forest became our battleground. Snow came early that year. The cold bit through our gloves, but the hunt continued. Wild boars, desperate for food, rampaged across the frozen fields. Their tusks gleamed like ivory in the moonlight. Each step we took was a fight against the biting wind. The silence of the snow was broken only by the distant howl of hounds and the crack of gunfire. Every shot was a heartbeat in the endless rhythm of survival. By the time the final hunt of the season ended, the snow was red-streaked and the forest lay still. We had fought fiercely, not just against the wild boars, but against exhaustion, fear, and the unforgiving elements. When we finally returned home, our hands trembled not from fatigue, but from pride. We had done what needed to be done. Now, as I stand at the edge of our field once more, watching the horizon glow with dawn's light, I see my mother's smile for the first time in months. The rice shoots are sprouting again. The land is healing. And though I know the beasts will return someday, I also know this: when they do, we'll be ready. Because here, in these fields, in this land we call home, we don't just farm, we fight.